Hello everyone, and welcome to the Toyota Alphard Executive Lounge. Since its inception, the flagship luxury car has largely followed the same formula. A four-door, three-box design, with a long wheelbase for greater interior dimensions, a long hood and dash-to-axle, and a large engine that sends silky, smooth power to the rear wheels. But then, there's the Toyota Alphard, a vehicle that takes a completely different approach to what luxury can mean. Like its namesake, Alphard, the brightest star in the Hydra constellation, the Toyota Alphard was meant to be a superlative among its peers. However, the Alphard wasn't originally designed to compete within the world of traditional luxury sedans. Rather, it was created to be a flagship in the minivan world. With its spacious cabin, high-end interior amenities, and adaptable seating configurations, the first-generation Alphard, codenamed AH30, instantly found its footing in the Asian market, where passenger experience is often the top priority. And it wasn't just families who embraced it. Its luxury-oriented features and plush ride quality quickly made it a favorite for corporate buyers, earning its place as the go-to vehicle for VIP transport. In fact, it sold so well that Toyota started offering a more aggressively styled twin called the Vellfire from the second-generation AH30 onwards to cater to younger buyers. Over the years, the Alphard has cemented itself as a mainstay in a segment that was once dominated by luxury sedans. And with this third-generation AH30 Alphard we have today, it's easy to see why. This particular model is the range-topping Executive Lounge trim, and with it comes a laundry list of features. You get semi-aniline leather upholstery, power-adjustable heated front seats with a passenger-side leg rest, and fully reclining, heated, and ventilated second-row seats, complete with extending leg rests and folding tables. There's also tri-zone climate control, a 17-speaker JBL sound system, and a whole lot more than that. Under the hood, you'll find Toyota's legendary 2GR-FE, a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 delivering 274 horsepower and 340 Nm of torque to the front wheels via a 6-speed torque converter auto. And the price? Around $40,000 US. That is, admittedly, a lot of money for a minivan, especially for one that isn't even new. This generation of Alphard came out all the way back in 2015. It's almost 10 years old. But when you consider the level of luxury, technology, and comfort that this car offers, it is seriously really impressive even years after its launch date. And that's because Toyota, they didn't just cram a bunch of features into this car and call it a day. No, Toyota designed the Alphard for a very specific purpose. Take the packaging, for example. The Alphard is built on a transverse front-wheel drive architecture shared with many other Toyotas like the Camry. And that means, unlike traditional vans, there's no drive shaft going to the rear wheels. And that means on the inside, you have a super flat floor, which means great interior space and immense seat configurability. In addition, because the Alphard has to comply with Japanese automated parking system size constraints, it can't be wider than 1.85 meters or longer than 5 meters. And that means in order to get this level of interior space, the designers had to stretch the cabin basically till the edges of the car. And you can see that if you look under the hood, because that engine is mounted a little bit behind the front windshield. In fact, it's slightly inside the cabin. And what all this means is that, despite its level of interior space, the Alphard has a smaller exterior footprint than a short wheelbase S-Class. Now that is something. But of course, all of this design and engineering efficiency does impact the way it looks. And I don't know about you, but personally, I have extremely mixed feelings with the way this looks. Now, to be clear, I do understand that it has to look like a van, obviously, to maximize the interior space. It's got to be boxy, it's got to have big windows. I don't really have a problem with that. My issues come from the styling, because just take a look at how much chrome there is around the car. There's chrome entirely on the front grille and even on the vent surrounds on the front bumper. You have chrome lining the entire side of the car, the window strips, the door handles. You have a huge chrome piece at the rear of the car, and combine that with lines that seem to go in a bunch of different places and surfaces that go everywhere. It looks a little bit in your face for my taste. Now, I do get it that the Alphard's identity is to be a maverick, a disruptor in the minivan field, so it does have to be bold and it does have to stand out. And so I understand why it has to look like this, but personally, I prefer something a little bit more clean and sophisticated, kind of like the Honda Stepwagon. I think for me, that is just peak minivan. That said, there are many little details in this car's styling that make it cool and interesting to look at, even though it isn't the most classically beautiful in a traditional sense. So on the front, you can see that the grille doesn't wear the Toyota logo. Instead, it has something that looks like the Greek letter Alpha, and that's because of its namesake. The Alphard star is also known as AH30, and that's where that Alpha logo comes from. Now, moving down to the side, I really love how Toyota has accentuated the Alphard's long-standing signature window silhouette, using this strong crease on the side and these chrome and black plastic window trims. And especially when you look at it from the side and you can really highlight this upper surface, it does look rather beautiful. And I especially really love the B-pillar treatment here, because unlike previous generations, the AH10 and AH20, which had a large B-pillar, you have this black partition which effectively separates the roofline from the rest of the body. And combine that with the little crease that goes up and down, this is oddly reminiscent of an aircraft wingtip, and I think that looks really cool, because this styling piece for me suggests that the car is moving even when it's stationary. I know that sounds pretentious, but I don't know, it's really interesting. I also love this chrome strip above the second and third row windows, because if you take a close look at it, it actually widens near the back and narrows, and it's integrated into the spoiler line, which goes up and down again. This almost looks like an aircraft tail fin, and the spoiler actually does look like an aircraft's wings being flexed as it flies through the air. I find that this really does evoke the sense of it being a private jet for the road. And that's even more true when we get to the inside. So let's take a look. All right, on the inside of the AH30 Alphard, and it's stunning in here. Like, not just for a Toyota, it's stunning, full stop. This interior, in my opinion, beautifully blends modern elements with old school luxury touches. Just take a look at all of the little details that make it incredibly special. Now, in terms of material quality, it's pretty good in here. On your dashboard, as you can see, you have really soft and squidgy materials there. That feels great. The same thing on your door cards. Beautiful, lovely to touch. And your center armrest, look at how squidgy that is. That really reminds me of my GS. Awesome. And even where you sit, you have a wonderfully padded area right here next to your left knee and right here next to your right knee. Great materials throughout the cabin. However, there are a couple of minor Toyota-isms that do let it down somewhat. Now, as I said, this interior, stylistically, it looks beautiful, and it really does harken back to the days of old luxury cars while still being fresh and modern. But most of the materials below the dashboard line, below this satin trim on the dashboard, that's all hard, scratchy plastic. But perhaps the most egregious part is the steering wheel, because if you have your hands here, it just feels wonderful. It's wood and leather, that feels great. But if you have your thumb slip slightly off the rim, you immediately feel this hard, scratchy plastic that lines the entire switchgear on the steering wheel. That's crazy. This just feels like it's out of a cheap car, like a Corolla or something. That's insane. So overall, this interior definitely looks the part. It really genuinely feels like a full-size luxury car in here. But in terms of quality, it doesn't compare at all to something like an S-Class, which is filled with soft touch material. Now, in terms of comfort, it is absolutely phenomenal in here. These seats are insanely soft, and strangely enough, they have pretty aggressive bolstering, which means even if you're taking corners a little bit faster than you might like, you have good lateral support. In addition, your headrest is super supple and yielding. It's just so nice to rest your head on them. But apart from that, all of the controls are where you might expect. You have your memory seats up here, your window controls, your AC controls here, which, by the way, feel excellent to use. Lovely physical dials that have a wonderful action between each detent, beautifully weighted. I'm not really a fan of the touch controls here. This is very 2024, and I also don't love how it makes a tone when you adjust it. I know it's for confirmation, probably, but I don't know, that kind of cheapens out the experience in my opinion. But otherwise, everything else is solid. In front of you, you do have a small gauge screen, which gives you a few things here and there, like your fuel efficiency, your range, and so on. You can also adjust a few things here and there as well, like your rear light brightness and color, and some miscellaneous settings like turning on and off your parking assist and your air purification system. But otherwise, it isn't really a class leader in this respect. Even back then, you don't have any fancy gauge cluster like Audi's digital cockpit. This is just a very simple and old school 2 physical gauge setup with a small screen in the middle. This car doesn't even have any ADAS in it either. All you have is a small cruise control stalk, very 90s Toyota. But I do know that future generations of Alphard, including the facelift of the AH30, I believe, did come with lane keep assist and radar guided cruise control, among others. In the middle though, you have a beautifully integrated infotainment screen, but I'm not really going to talk about it that much because this isn't Toyota's official infotainment. In fact, none of the features or settings in here have anything to do with the car itself. It's just a standard head unit that is basically just an Android tablet in disguise. So not really going to talk about it. It is very responsive though, I will say. Wonderful to use, but this car doesn't normally come with that, so I won't really touch on it. In terms of practicality though, it is absolutely a leader in that respect. So take a look. You have a bottle holder in your door along with a huge door bin. Underneath your dash, you also have a tiny tray which can be used to store small items like coins for toll perhaps. You also have a cup holder which is hidden and accessed using this trapdoor, and that feels really smooth. Take a look at that. You also have the same thing on the passenger side as well. Really smooth action. And in case that isn't enough, you even have a set of hidden cup holders under this trapdoor in the middle here. That is awesome. 4 cup holders just for the front. And again, you have a lovely action to close this compartment. You have another cubby here as well, which is accessed using another trapdoor, and this one is also felt lined, which feels great. And finally, you have a huge glove box, which is beautifully damped yet again, and take a look at that. It's even felt lined. That is wonderful. But that's just the first row, driver and passenger. You haven't seen anything yet. Let's move on to the second row so you can really see what the Alphard is all about. Your executive sedan can't do that. All right, guys, in the back of the AH30 Alphard, and it's palatial back here, seriously. But forget the interior itself, just look at how much room you have. I have to fully stretch out to even reach the front seat, and I'm 6'1" and 6'2". My legs are long. This is insane. And again, because it's front wheel drive, you don't have a transmission tunnel in the middle, which means you can genuinely man spread to your heart's content and you won't have an annoying hump to deal with. That is brilliant. This is just amazing back here. And the seats themselves are insanely comfortable, and just like the front, you also have good support for your shoulders, and you have these, I think they're called butterfly style headrests, which offer you really nice lateral support for your head too. You have, I think, the softest armrests I've ever felt in a car. Like, look at this. This is just ridiculous. And yet, I haven't even taken you through the best part. The seat controls, which are hidden beautifully under your armrest. So take a look. You have a ton of things you can do here. So first, you have a reading light, your own dedicated reading light, and you can even adjust its brightness, very airline style. That feels really nice. You also have your main seat settings here, which operate your recline. You can also raise and lower your leg rest, and like I said at the beginning, you can even extend the leg rest and push it outward in case you want more support. And that feels insanely nice. Like, not even a full-size luxury sedan like an S-Class, unless maybe you go for the Maybach, feels this nice. And this is in a car that is half the price of that. Now, apart from being able to lounge in your armchair, you have 2 seat memory settings right here. But there is technically a third one, and you can access it using this large button down here. Very, very reminiscent of jet travel, this returns your seat to takeoff configuration, which means it'll automatically return your seat back to its fully upright position, and it'll automatically retract your leg rest too. If I press that, I don't even have to hold it. I just tap it once, and look at that. The seat readjusts automatically in one simple touch. How sick is that? Now, down here, you also have your cooled and heated seats, and take a look. It has a physical dial, which feels beautiful to use. The action is so smooth. It is unbelievably nice to touch. And the seat coolers and heaters are pretty powerful, so you do feel them almost immediately. So that is awesome. So apart from seat comfort, you also have a lot of amenities back here. So I already mentioned the reading light. In the front, you also have your own dome light and your own air vent. You also have up here an entire climate control panel. This is 3-zone climate control, as I mentioned. And you could also adjust your mood lighting color on your door. You also have a dedicated curtain if you want to block out the peasants who don't have nice lounge chairs in the backs of their cars. And if you want to shield yourself from the sun, you can, using this integrated sunshade. You also have a bunch of storage options back here because it is fundamentally a minivan. So in the doors, you do have a bottle holder. You also have small pockets, which are very airline style. Look at that. In the middle, you also have a small cubby just behind the center armrest and a much bigger one underneath. And in your seat, you also have a couple of storage options too. So in this armrest, if you flip it open, you have a small felt-lined cubby, which feels great. You also have this cup holder in the front, which has another one of those smooth actions that feel incredibly satisfying to use. You have a table, which is operated with this button right here, and it raises by itself smoothly, and all you have to do is to pull it out and position it yourself. And you can even close the armrest, so it's truly seamless. And this table is unbelievably solid, especially compared to other minivan tables, which are plasticky and fold down from the seat in front of you. This is genuinely, like, look at that. This is genuinely a table that you can work on or eat on without having to worry about the table folding in on itself or spilling stuff all over the cabin. This is extremely rigid. That is insane. So much storage, so much space, and so much genuine luxury back here. But the third row itself is actually not too bad either. So let's take a look at that too. Okay, so unlike getting in the second row, the third row is actually not that easy. So there's 2 steps. You need to firstly move the second row seats forward like this. Make sure it's locked in place, and then you can use this button to fold the backrest forward This one you can just tap and it does it automatically, and you don't have a lot of space to get through, especially for someone my size. But once you're in, the seats themselves are actually kind of comfy, and you even have your own reclining adjustment here. If I pull this lever, I can recline. This is manual though, but at least I do have my own creature comforts back here. So I can, of course, close the door from here. I can reach around and use that toggle, and I can also, from the back, operate the second row seat. So I need to first move the backrest in its original position, and then I can start to move it. Otherwise, the locking mechanism won't work. So once it's there, I can then move it all the way back, and you'll see that the room is naturally not that bad, considering how much room there is in the front. This isn't, by the way, in the same position I had it earlier. It's about 2 inches more forward, but still, look at this. This is a lot of room, and I don't feel like I'm in a squatting position either. Not to mention, there are still plenty of amenities for the rearmost passengers. So I have my own air vents, just like the second row. I have my own dome lights, just like the second row. My own curtain too, and my own sunshade. The third row really isn't devoid of any features, and you still have even more practicality stuff back here. So you have a small pocket here, you have 2 cup holders here, 2. You have another small area to put stuff down here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's there. And on the other side, you also have the same kind of small cubby, but 1 cup holder this time around. So yeah, even in the third row, the material quality is good. It's comfortable, you got good amenities. It's just really impressive how good the experience is for everyone in the car, especially the second row. But third row, you still get a good amount of space in here. But I think for some of you who might be a bit more eagle-eyed, you may have already noticed a bit of a problem. So as I said earlier, this car has its cabin basically stretched out to the edges of the car. But that means to have this level of interior space, there are some compromises to be made. And that comes in the form of the trunk, because as you can see, I am basically in the trunk area. So let's take a look at it. So yeah, not a lot of room back there, at least lengthwise, if you have the seats in their maximum space configuration. You can, however, load tall items like this table back here pretty easily because it is a van. And another advantage of it being a van is the trunk opening is ginormous, and the load lip is really low, which means you can load a heavy item in here without having to lift it that much, which is cool. Obviously, if you want more room back here, you will have to move the second and third row a little bit more forward, but because there's so much space, that's going to be fine anyway for the people in the second and third rows. You can even fold the third row away if you really don't need this and you want the maximum amount of space in here possible. Overall, the Alphard is really, really impressive. It's amazing how much comfort, luxury, and versatility this one vehicle offers. It's truly a van for everybody. But it's time now to see if it can live up to that on the road. All right, before we start the car, I just want to take a moment to appreciate how beautiful those gauges look when the car is off. Gorgeous. All right, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's start her up. And the seat moves forward as she roars to life. And I do love the sound of that starter motor. All right, guys, finally, it's time to take the Alphard for a drive. But before we officially get started, I just want to highlight a few things. So first we have an electronic parking brake, which is great because it will automatically deploy when you're in park. Super convenient. Another convenient feature is the brake hold button, which will automatically hold the brakes for you when you're in neutral or drive, which means, for example, if you're at a stoplight, you don't have to keep your leg pressed on the brake and you can take some time to rest your leg if necessary. And it's super smooth to release the brakes as well. Awesome little feature. Another cool trick is, well, if you take a look at your side mirror, you'll notice that there is a part underneath this line that has a greater field of view, kind of like on the Lexus GS. Now, that allows you to see your entire rear wheel even without using the auto dip feature, which I find incredibly useful, especially when navigating around tight spaces with really high curbs. You do not want to curb those beautiful wheels. So that is a great feature to enhance your visibility. Speaking of visibility, the visibility in here in the cabin is fantastic. You get so much glass and some quarter windows to help with that as well. You have a huge windshield, and the front of the windshield is basically the front of the car, which means in addition to having so much glass and being able to place this car, you can do so even without the use of sensors. And the back glass, because again, this is a box on wheels, the back glass is basically where the rear of the car is. So you can use that as well as a distance marker, which is great. You can drive this car without any of the included sensors, which is fantastic. You don't need to rely on them. Now, guys, I think it's time we actually start to drive. So when you first set off, you'll notice immediately that you have pretty light steering, which is nice. Though the steering ratio is actually kind of slow, very similar to an old school luxury car, but it means that taking 3-point turns is a bit of a pain, and the long wheelbase and relatively large turning radius doesn't help either, especially because there's no rear steer. But it's otherwise not too bad with the light steering. Now, guys, I think you can already see a problem with visibility here, because you'll notice that you have a massive blind spot right next to your head. When you're pulling out of junctions or even doing a shoulder check to look for oncoming traffic, you really do have to look forward, way forward, to get any visibility. So that is a slight problem. But when parking, you do have auto dip, which is fantastic. And the camera itself, the field of view is quite large, which is great, so you can see any oncoming hazards from your sides. The problem is that, as you can see, as I steer, the guidelines don't turn, which means I can't use that to predict where the path of my car will be. In spite of that, though, it is still incredibly easy to park. The car itself is not that wide, as I said, 1.85 meters, and the auto dip feature and the fact that the car is basically a box on wheels means you can easily place every corner of the car without needing any sensors whatsoever. You could basically just use your own internal sight picture to judge where the car is positioned very easily. And we're in. The auto parking brake will deploy, and we are parked. It is so easy to drive on a daily basis, as you'll find out. So finally, guys, I think it's time we take this on some faster roads. The first thing you notice upon setting off is this. The smoothness of the powertrain. This immediately, at least for me, sticks out compared to every other conventional front-wheel drive car, because the trend now with every front-wheel drive car is to go turbo 4-cylinder, which, while they make good power, it isn't nearly as refined and wonderful as this. This makes its power purely from displacement, 3.5 liters, which means not only is it smooth and effortless. Effortless is the key word here, but you don't need to apply that much throttle for good acceleration. The one disadvantage to all of that buttery, smooth, naturally aspirated torque is the fuel economy, and it is dismal in this car. That's probably why Toyota and Lexus are phasing this engine out, which in my opinion is just such a shame, because this is one of their best engines. It's also extremely reliable. And the fact that it's a higher cylinder count also means that you don't feel any pulses through the steering wheel, unlike many other front-wheel drive cars. The transmission also helps a lot here because it is equally silky smooth. You barely feel any of the gear changes, and the response is also not bad. It's a quick car. Like, it's quick. It'll do 0 to 100 in under 8 seconds. That's not half bad, actually, especially for something that is supposed to be calibrated to be as smooth and relaxing as possible. Now, apart from the engine and transmission, the ride is also really, really good. even in the bends, although it's a tall and heavy vehicle, this weighs a little bit north of 2 tons, it handles its mass very well. There is a bit of body lean, obviously, but considering how much this weighs and the fact that it has a high center of gravity, its body control is actually pretty good. And the ride, it's just so nice. I'm being wafted along right now. It handles big bumps pretty well. But I did notice that unlike a full-size luxury car, the minor imperfections in the road, like road texture, I still do feel quite a bit of that. Like, yes, everything is damped very nicely. I'm not being jostled or tossed around like I might be in a sports car, but I still feel everything. It's not uncomfortable, don't get me wrong. It's still absolutely brilliant. But it's not full-size luxury car brilliant. They are still on another level. This is very nice though. One thing you do notice though is when you accelerate, although the engine is really smooth, it is a little audible, about 1500 RPM. You do hear a bit of that bassy V6 noise, which is no bad thing because it's quite nice. But I think the exterior noise is something that the Alphard lacks a little bit of insulation from, because like while we're going at low speed now, it's only 55 kilometers an hour, on the highway especially, and I don't think the aerodynamics of a brick helps here, you get a lot of wind whistle, like quite a lot of wind whistle, especially from the side windows, which is where the important passengers are located, which is not great. Additionally, there's also a lot of tire noise from below. I feel like the insulation in the bottom isn't that much, and so a lot of the vibrations and the noise from below, even though you're riding on 18s, which is why the ride is so good, the vibrations and noise are not filtered out that well. And so it can be a little noisy in here. And when talking to passengers in the back at this volume, they won't be able to hear me. They just won't. I'll need to raise my voice a little. This car is very interesting because in many levels, it does feel Lexus-like. The ride is very Lexus-like. The driving dynamics are very Lexus-like. The smoothness of the powertrain is basically Lexus-like. So it should be basically a luxury car. But unfortunately, there are a couple of things, a couple of key things that remind you that it wasn't really targeting that market in the first place, which in my mind does make sense given the price. And when I remember the price, I don't feel too bad about it anymore, because currently the new Alphard is half the price of an equivalent S-Class. And that to me, especially in this version, the AH30 generation with its V6, it is an incredible value. You get so much for your money. But of course, that is only half the story, because the Alphard was designed for the passenger. So just for fun, let's pick up some passengers and see what they think.
Chauffeur, Tongchong test.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. So yes, if I haven't said it already, welcome to the Alphard 30 Series Executive Lounge. Does that sound as impressive as it is?
Wait, where's the control?
The control, on your, well, which seat are you on? The left side. Left armrest. If you open that, there's a latch on your left side. You can see all of the controls.
This looks very, okay, look, from an Alphard 20 series perspective, this is actually the same, pretty much.
I expect it to be very similar.
It's the same.
Wait, what did you guys have before? Was it an executive lounge too?
It's a first class. Pretty much, I think, is the equivalent, right?
It has, dude, there's like a bunch of modes for recline. Hang on, let me just pay for the
Let me
party
try
first.
the cooling.
Yeah, you got like, bro, you have like a dial to adjust the cooling and heating. It's awesome.
One difference though, this bit is actually in the middle of the car.
What do you mean by that?
So like, instead of near the door, it's actually here. on this side. That's why I was struggling to find it, because on the 20 series is on this side.
Oh, are the two seats like attached somehow?
And they're not attached. In the middle, there's like a small space where people squeeze in and out.
Ah, yeah,
Actually,
not with this.
This one is even thicker. I see the seats.
It's like two individual seats, but they really take up the entire width
This is like truly
of the rear
business
section.
class.
But yeah, like if you want to know what controls you have. Hang on, let me just check that. Yep, it's safe.
Be less careful.
Yup. Yeah, so you have recline, of course, you have the leg rest. You can also move the leg rest forward so you can extend it, which is awesome. You got a dial to adjust your heated seats. You have a dial to adjust the ventilation of your seats.
Wait, heated seats?
Yeah, bro.
You see it? Yeah.
You see the dial? You have to
Turn it
press
a
it
little
down.
bit and press it down. Yeah, there you go.
It's amazing. This car has
I
everything.
need that right now.
Oh yeah, by the way, that's my man and that's Allison, who's probably asleep in the other seat. I didn't
So
introduce
comfortable.
them.
I'm loving the heated seat. So great.
They all have like some wooden trims for all executive lounge.
They do, yeah. Like supposedly this light brown. I'm not even sure if it's like real wood, but it looks great, and it's an exclusive wood for the executive lounge.
There's some pockets on the side. You see.
There's storage everywhere. Like even in the front, you have.
This one's more like it's sunglasses kind of storage.
You mean the one in your center armrest?
Yeah. The table though, that's sick.
Dude, the table is insanely rigid. This feels like you can actually work and eat something on top of it and it won't, slide around or whatever, or fall. It's so good.
It is good.
Dude, this car, I totally get it.
The only thing that bothers me a little bit is that you can't really adjust the height, like the height.
Oh, that's true.
That's a little bit obstructing. Yeah, but it feels fine. It feels quite refined as well, I think.
It does. The ride is really good. It's really good. Like compared to the GS, this is softer. It's like, I think ES level soft. Do you think this ride's as nice as an S-Class though? You've ridden an S-Class, like the W221, right?
Yeah, but
What do you think about it?
comparable, but could be. I need to recall a little bit more, but I feel like S-Class might be a little bit better. But it's a little bit unfair to compare this to an S-Class because they're two different price range. This is pretty much in the, is it what, half? More than half of the price of an US class. Is that it?
Well, if we're talking about new 40, it's like 800K, is it not?
Yeah, but I remember even back in the days.
Back in the day.
S221, the new ones cost like around 1.6, 1.7 million Hong Kong dollars.
Good power for overtaking.
Oh,
Beautiful V6.
Okay, that's another thing about it too, because it's a bit high up, you also feel the roll a lot. And of course, the Benz seat can hold yours, I don't know, you a little bit better.
Is it more supportive, did you find?
I think it's more supportive when you move through corners. Maybe because it has a lower, lower center of gravity.
Exactly, because you sit lower, you don't feel like you're rolling around as much. Like this is soft for sure, but I think the body control is a little bit better with those.
Oh yeah, for sure. And is this a speaker at the back too?
There are 17 speakers overall, man. Even in the door, there's like 2 on each side, and then there's more dotted around the place. I don't know, but supposedly 17 if I'm correct. But post me, we'll edit that later.
Have you tried using the speakers yet?
Dude, the sound system is good.
Surprisingly, even at the very back, I think the sound system sounds amazing.
There's a lot of detail everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite as good as like a Mark Levinson you might find again in like a Lexus or something, but it's good. It's good. I'm not sure what brand this is though, if there's any brand at all, but it's nice.
Leave it to the post editing.
Yeah, I'll figure it out later.
I mean, yeah. Oh, let me talk a little bit in a different turn. This is the last generation that has the actual Alphard badge in front.
It is. I don't love that they removed the Alphard badge from the front.
Isn't there like this weird trend for Toyota in general? Like, have you seen the new crown? I mean, for America's back,
Yeah.
they removed the crown logo for Toyota.
Yeah, why?
Why aren't they proud of their crown?
I don't know,
Or
like
Alphard brand.
have no idea. It doesn't make sense. But I've tried the 40 series. I've tried sitting in it, and it is better.
It is better. Okay, that's great.
But the 40 series doesn't have this engine.
Yeah, sadly, that's the case.
I
A lot of cars, like, do have the good engine sounds, but like the newer ones, they got the better interior. Which
They do. Is Sleeping Beauty asleep?
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay. Why have you woken
Sorry. I'm
Kind of like aware, but then I just. It's so comfortable.
It's so comfortable,
I
right?
don't know anything about cars, but I'm telling you, if you want to take a nap,
Bro, if you fell asleep in this, like, goal achieved. This is what you need. But yeah, I do miss the engine. What I wish, I keep saying this to you. What I wish they could do. Remember the engine in that IS250, that 4GR?
Yeah, 2.5.
Yep, 2.5 liter V6. It's basically the same thing as this, but it's direct injection only, which meant it had a couple of problems with carbon buildup. It's a design flaw. But I wish they fixed that engine. They put the dual injection system from the 2GR FSE, so it makes a little bit more power because it didn't have that much power, and they hooked it up to a hybrid system.
Perfect.
Perfection.
I would want that.
I would want that too, because I think a hybrid really suits this. It's going to be even smoother, but it's just, I don't know, for the new one, it's really let down by the engine, I think. Not that refined, but
They're up ahead on the side.
where?
LM.
Oh yeah, an LM, yeah! Oh, I really want to try the, again, I wish the new one was a V6, but it's not. But like the new one has the Emperor suite, I think, with like the massive chairs and then
called the LM
big TV. Yes! I think it comes with like a 49-incher at the back. Oh my gosh, that's insane.
That is insane.
By the way, you have a TV there. Like the really small one. I haven't figured out how to use it.
You mean
The remote.
this?
There is a remote. Yeah, can you like...
Oh.
Bro, but it says no signal, and the remote, which is like right here, like take a look at that.
Sure.
I'm not...
Oh my god, this is so far
I'm
away.
not sure how it works. Like Allison and I spent some time trying to work it, but
well,
it
like,
didn't seem...
I spent some time watching you.
That's
try
true.
to
She was
figure it
almost
out.
asleep, basically, but
At this point, I feel like this thing is.
didn't either it
Is
ran
it
out of
all
battery. Either ran out of battery, or again, we're being idiots and we don't know how to use the
I
system.
feel like, look, this sort of thing looks like there's some sort of inputs in the front.
Yeah.
So you probably just,
Are you supposed to put something in there?
yeah. I don't think it's an HDMI at this point, but there should be some input in the front. Maybe you can check it out later on.
Well, clearly I haven't done my revision enough. Oh, by the way, it'll kick down a second all the way. You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah! And a bit of torque steer.
Sadly, the wind noise is too much.
It's a lot, right? Especially out the center windows. I feel like it's the
I
worst.
heard this very clear now. I heard some cars passing by just now from here. Very noticeable.
This is a really weird vehicle. Like, if you think about what we consider to be a luxury car, it means like rear-wheel drive, long wheelbase sedan form, and then we have this that kind of does it differently. It's a different formula for around the same result, I suppose.
The space this allows it to have like a very unique place in the market.
It does have a really neat place. I guess that's why people compare it to the S-Class, the King, right? Because while I don't think it challenges it directly, right? I don't think it challenges it directly. It does provide like an experience that I feel like is better in some ways, worse in some ways, that leads it to be considered a rival in terms of experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what? I get it. I get why this is an S-Class competitor, and
Let's just say this is like an economy version of S-Class.
an economy of, well, no, that does it a disservice, because I mean it does still
As
have
in terms
like
of
a
the
good
price.
Oh yeah, okay, budget S-Class.
Comfort-wise, it's like a business class kind of thing, I would say. Because just the seat alone, this
You know
is
what?
too good.
In China, there is a crown spec of this. I feel like, to sum it up,
Alphard Crown.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's blasphemy, but I feel like the way to summarize this is that it's a Toyota Crown if it's a van.
Okay, that I can 100% agree to, yes.
A Toyota Crown van. It's not like Lexus quality or anything. The LM serves that purpose, but it's a Toyota Crown, a premium Toyota van.
I think we can compare it even more when we get to try the Crown in a few days.
True.
Let's try that later on.
That's gonna be nice.
For sure.
I don't know what to do now.
Let's just eat, man.
Let's just eat.
Let's go.
Okay. After trying the S220 generation Crown in Japan, a couple of days after I gave the Alphard back, my friend Wyman and I still found that statement to be accurate. No, it doesn't quite live up to the refinement and insulation expectations of a full-size luxury car, but it isn't supposed to at its price. And yet, the Alphard actually does quite a few things better, like the ability to carry a whole family or a truckload of cargo, the comfort of the rear seat and all its amenities, and the reliability and low cost of parts. It's no wonder this car has created a whole new segment in Asia, because to many, the Alphard is not just a jack of all trades, but it's a master of some.